Icey is a 2D side-scrolling hack-and-slash Metroidvania style game. You play as Icey, a character with no characteristics whatsoever. In fact, the real character of the game is the narrator. The narrator is what I like to call the body and soul of the game. He's the one who's driving you forward, he's the reason for your goal. He's there to make sure you get it all done. And when I say the narrator himself is a character, I don't mean a playable character, I just mean he's there and he actually gives the game a sort of vibe. Because really, you're playing a character who's just woke up from this weird cryogenic cylinder, and you appear to be slightly mechanical as well, so it only gives the proper feeling of nothing's in your control, but really you're just following orders. The story of Icey is as follows. You wake up, you make your way to a guy called Judas, you kill everyone in the way first, then you kill Judas, and then you stop this black hole from opening up, essentially. It may not be the most well thought out story for a video game, but it works, and it's all about the narrator, not the story. The story is there just to give you a goal, while the narrator is the one who is driving you forward. Another driving aspect of the game is the gameplay itself. As I said earlier, it is a 2D hack-and-slash Metroidvania style game. So with that in mind, you'll be slashing your way through enemies, getting upgrades, backtracking through all the terrain to find secrets. And the secrets aren't just, hey look, here's a room, there's some money, take it, you earned it, you found the secret, buy some upgrades with it, cool, bye. Let's face it, it'll be a bit boring if this is the only sort of secret you can find in the game. However, and thankfully, it's not. You can find boss battles, early developments of the game, and some of these secrets have absolutely nothing to do with exploring. In fact, you could just stand in a room, ignore the narrator, and he'll get so mad that he will eventually call you a pig. But anyway, enough about the narrator, let's get to combat. The combat of the game is very flashy, it's very cool, it's extremely quick as well. However, it doesn't feel like there's enough impact with the combat itself to justify all the flashiness. In fact, I think the flashiness is just a way for the visuals to show to you, hey look, this is a big impact, even though really it doesn't feel like it. Now, just like any other hack and slash or spectacle fighter sort of game, there's an upgrade system. Through this, you can upgrade Icey's damage and skill set, or just general survivability with more health, more shield, and effectiveness with perception. Perception is a very interesting concept for the game. You can dash into an ability as it's being used by an enemy, and if you hit the execution button, Icey not only heals herself, but she also deals a massive amount of damage to the enemy and possibly killing them before they even have the execution symbol come up to them normally. And thankfully, because executions exist in this game and they heal you, it means that you can get into combat a lot more. You don't have to worry about trying to find a save point or a health pack, because frankly, there aren't any in this game. Icey has boss battles which at first seem pretty easy, but later on test your mettle. One of the first bosses you ever fight is called Thor. Sadly not the Norse god Thor, but it's a mech, has a giant hammer, and at first I thought it would just be a one-time thing I'd fight. Turns out he's actually a mob. It's just that particular mech is in that room and guarding the control panel that opens up a gate to the next level of the game. Each boss is guarding the next level, and not every boss is actually as difficult as you might assume, the fact that it's in a higher level. In fact, the hardest boss I ever had to fight was a boss called Icey, and he had lasers that would stop you from doing anything because it would stun lock you. And that's actually one of my biggest gripes of the game. You can't actually break a stun lock that easily. You get a 2-second stun and then you can finally jump, but usually for a boss like Icey, he does his ability so quick and so rapidly, and his sequences are actually all around the place. You can't actually determine when he's going to use them or where he is going to attack next. Thankfully though, not every boss is like Icey, where they stun lock you and then just kill you within 2 hits because they stun locked you, and that stun lock keeps refreshing after every time you get stunned. So from 2 seconds, another 2 seconds, another 2 seconds, you get the picture. But I do feel that a stun lock is a cheap way of punishing a player for extending themselves too much into combat. But anyway, enough about stun locks. Let's talk about other issues of the game. Animations cannot be cancelled in any form whatsoever. Not dashing, not using another ability, not moving to the left or the right while after using an attack. Nothing stops it from happening. It will follow it until it is done, and then, regardless of when you saw it happen, you're going to take damage or you're about to take damage, because usually when you want to cancel an animation, it's to avoid a hit. Overall, I really enjoyed Icey. My first playthrough took around half an hour, which isn't actually that long. but there was still a lot of enjoyment to be had. And once I defeated Judas, I unlocked New Game Plus, and with New Game Plus, the bosses became harder, the random mobs became harder, and some mobs you didn't even fight early on the game were right there in stage 1. But rather than doing the same thing I did in my first playthrough on New Game Plus, I decided to do all the extra objectives by finding out the creations Icey, who UC was, discovering all the secret levels, finding the secret boss battle known as Jack, and just generally pissing off the narrator by not doing what he tells you to do. So I highly recommend getting Icey. It's a lot of fun, it's not that expensive, and you're going to enjoy yourself with all the boss battles and the narrator's dialogue.